Most people still think of AI as a tool, something you bolt onto an existing system to make them faster, smarter, cheaper, or more efficient. But that's not really what's happening. The real story, the one that most businesses haven't yet caught up to, is that AI doesn't just improve processes. It rewrites the rules entirely. It breaks business models apart, and it asks one simple question. If you were starting today with AI as a native capability, how would this industry work? This kind of thinking isn't about incremental change, it's about foundational transformation. And nowhere is this more obvious than in entertainment. Just over a decade ago, streaming reshaped the industry. It collapsed the distance between creator and consumer. It forced traditional studios to rethink distribution, funding, and even storytelling. But what AI is doing right now makes streaming look like the warm-up act. Because AI doesn't just change how content is delivered, it changes what content is. And when that becomes possible, the entire foundation of entertainment, the funding, production rights, distribution, all starts to crack. So today I want to show you a proof of concept, not because it's the future of film or entertainment, but because it's a clear example of what AI native business reinvention actually looks like. So, welcome to WebPix, the world's first AI-powered streaming platform. It doesn't just show you content, it creates it. Powered by your imagination and AI's capability, WebPix builds unique films, TV shows, and stories in real time. Any genre, any tone, any setting. You choose the style, and it brings it to life. This isn't just the future of streaming, this is what comes after it. So, let's get started. As you can see here, it's landed us on our homepage where you can see a number of different trending movies and TV shows made by other content creators. We're not interested in any of those today. We're going to go straight into Create. And this takes us into a basic design wizard or a basic user interface that will help guide users through a simple step process. However, in this instance, we want to go into a bit more advanced and get into the weeds. And so let's click there and move on. What type of entertainment? Well, what are we looking for? TV show, documentary, animation? Let's go for a nice movie today. And what type of genre movie? You can see here it gives us a number of different options. Let's go with action. It's now asking us to choose up to 2 or 3 secondary genres to flesh out that action film genre. Let's go with romantic and supernatural. Now the setting and world that we're looking to build out here. So starts off with time period, past, present, future, or a specific one. Let's go with present, that makes life easy. The location type, let's go with urban, jungle, and mountain. And what culture do we want this to be set in? Again, huge number of range of options here. Let's keep it really simple and just go with American, it's nice and familiar. And the world type. So what are we looking for? Apocalyptic, cyberpunk, high fantasy, utopian. Let's keep it simple and just go with realistic. Now we're moving on to main characters. What are we looking for? Let's start off with the number of main characters. So here it gives us the choice between a single protagonist and an ensemble cast, so much like along the lines of Ocean's 11, 12, 13, that type of thing. Again, let's just keep it simple and go for a solo protagonist in this instance. Here it gives us a selection of hero archetypes. Let's go with the rogue scoundrel. Well, that's a bit of a rogue. And here it's going to give us a number of options around the personality traits of this particular character. In this instance, I don't think it particularly matters. We can just fly through that and put a random selection of whatever comes to mind. But if you wanted to, you could put a bit more time and thought and effort into that to help round out and flesh out your character in line with the story. Now it's asked us to select the main villain type. Again, a number of villain archetypes here that you can choose from. Let's go with the corrupted hero here. And then it moves us on to the supporting cast, so we can choose who else we want to have in the cast, the different types of archetype. In this instance, let's go with the sidekick, the love interest, and some comic relief. That sounds like a nicely rounded out one. We'll then move on to character customization. So this is where the business model starts to kick in. As you can see here, we have a number of likenesses for different movie stars that the AI thinks will be well suited for this particular role. It's kicked up for us. You can see here that we already have purchase the likeness for Chris Pratt, but we could also buy The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, Adrian Brody, etc. You name it, we can buy it. In this instance, we already have Chris Pratt. It makes sense. Let's go for him, and then let's go on to the villain. Again, you can see we already had the likeness for Heath Ledger and Alan Rickman, but there are a number of others that we could choose from. Again, let's just keep it simple and go for one of the greats, Alan Rickman. That makes most sense. And then the sidekick. So here we have Simon Pegg's likeness already owned and John Boyega's likeness already owned, but I think they're not quite fitting for what I'm looking for. So let's go for Asa Butterfield. As you can see, he is not currently owned in part of our library, so let's click on him, and then here it gives us a number of options around whether we buy just his likeness or his voice, which would be great for someone like Morgan Freeman, for example, or in this instance, let's just go for his likeness and his voice, and we'll add that to our basket. You then do the same for the love interest and for the comic relief, etc. But for the interest of time, let's just move straight on. Now it's asking us to move into a bit more detail around the story type. So there's a number of different story types we can have the movie play out to, as you can see here. But in this instance, we're just going to go with a nice simple quest story type. How complex do you want it to be? Again, a number of options. Let's just keep it nice and simple. No banding around, no bells and whistles. And then some plot twists. It's just all the way from none to mind-blowing, and I see dead people over here on the right. Let's go with minimal, just one or two, but and then it moves on to the ending type. So again, there are a number of different endings that we can choose from here. The AI recommends surprise me. I would suggest that that's probably a good one for a film, because what's the point of watching a film if you already know the ending? Then it moves us on to action, pacing. As you can see here, it's grayed out slow burn because it's an action film, so that's not an option in this instance. It is an action film, so let's go for some non-stop high octane. How often do we want some action? Again, it's grayed out the none, because we're watching an action film. It's not going to have us to do that, so let's go for frequent in this instance. And then combat style. What type of combat style are we going to want? Let's go for stylized and cinematic. That makes sense. And then the set piece styles. What kind of combat we're going to look for? Let's go for some hand-to-hand, bit of gunfight, some sort of chase or pursuit, and some sort of siege and last stand. That sounds great. Now it's moving us into the cinematography and the design and visual aesthetic of our film. So let's start with cinematography. We can select one or more of these. Let's go with realistic and natural, some long one-take shots like 1917, and some high-speed slow motion, a bit like bullet time from The Matrix. Color palette, again, is getting to a bit more technical side of things now. You can have a number that you can choose from here. Based on all the selections so far, the AI recommends teal and orange. Who are we to argue? I don't know much about film. That sounds good to me. Same thing with the aspect ratio, again, quite technical. So if we don't know about these things, the AI recommends 16:9. Fine by me. And then the special effects, what are we looking for? Some practical effects, some clearly CGI effects, or a blend of the two, or some stylized surreal effects. I want an action film, I want it nice and down to earth. Let's keep it practical, shall we? Now we're moving on to the script and the dialogue and writing style. So now it gives us a number of options around what type of writing style we'd like to see. I'm going to go with quippy and fast paced, some dynamic dialogue, and realistic and natural. How much do we want? A very quiet film, all the way through to rapid fire non-stop. Let's just go with a nice balance mixed. How funny do we want it? Again, very serious, deadpan, all the way through to sort of comedic stars over here. Again, let's just go with a nice balanced one. And how much internalized monologue do you want in the film? Here, a number of options that we can have in terms of what type of voiceover or narration we want. I don't want any in this particular instance, so let's just go with that. Music. Again, gives us a number of choice here, the overall genre of the music for the film. Let's go with some nice bit of rock if it's an action film. How much do we want in there? Again, from nothing all the way through to over the top, but I quite like a bit of music in my film, so let's go with that. And then now, again, it gives us the choice of the type of composer or artist influence that we can have into the film. You can see that Junkie XL and The Prodigy already owned. Love that for an action film, that makes sense to me, so let's just select those two. From the sound design style, again, a number of different options here we can have that sort of support the film. In this instance, let's go for hyper real and some industrial mechanical. That sounds perfect to me. Violence and gore levels, again, hopefully everyone will be familiar with the age rating here. In this instance, action film, I don't want to be too much, but let's just go with that. That sounds right, 15. And then the runtime. So now you're starting to get into the financial costs, as you can see at the bottom here. A short 30-minute film will cost you £2. A multi-part epic will cost you £20, because obviously it costs more to build out that from an AI perspective. In this instance, I think something very middle of the road would be great. So let's just go for a standard feature, sort of 120 minutes, 90 minutes long, and that'll cost us £10 for a basic function. Additional options here we've given us here, from all the way through to inserting Easter eggs and hidden references, all the way through to real-time polling and social interaction with the film. I think all with associated costs, I call them bolt-ons if you will. Let's just go with some Easter eggs here and some personalized content. That sounds great. So now it's taken us through to a summary of our film. You can see what we've chosen. We can decide if we want to edit any particular part of the film that it's come up with and for the overview, but in this instance that all looks great. Fine, we will confirm the selection, and the AI will go away and have a little think about writing the script. So now this is what it's come up with. Nightfall Rising. It's given us a breakdown of the film here, and it's given us a few options around, do we want to, not happy with that, do we want to see a trailer but with the cost associated with it, do we want to make the movie? That all sounds great to me. I'm happy with that, so let's make this movie. It gives us a summary of the bill. You can see that it's our standard feature, costs $9.99. It's added in everything else, the additional extras that we've decided on, and it's also offered us a standard build or an express build for an extra £3. Let's go with the express build, and we'll buy that now. It's just confirming the purchase of our film, and there we have it. One film. It'll let us know when it's ready, and that will be that. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's how the platform works. But the real story here isn't just how the platform works. It's what it represents. It's about imagination meeting capability. Because when AI becomes a native part of your business, not just a tool you layer on top, but something built into the foundation, it enables entirely new business models to emerge. Models where scale doesn't mean standardization, but personalization. Where value isn't locked into distribution, but unlocked through creation. This example is just one industry, but the same logic applies everywhere. Education, healthcare, law, finance, media. The businesses that survive the next wave of disruption won't be the ones who adapt AI to what already exists. They'll be the ones who ask, if we were starting from scratch, with this capability, what could we build? WebPix is just one example of a possible answer. But the real question is, what's yours?